From the moment they arrived, all land and everything on it belonged to the Christians. Colonial administration granted land to the church for personal and communal use. As soon as the Christians were settled, they would transfer indigenous homesteads into their own names, making use of commandos to clear the land of its inhabitants. They believed that they were the Israelites. They believed that the Khoi were descendants of Ham, the cursed son of Noah. Hamites were believed to be useful only as drawers of water and hewers of wood. These poor, religious, persecuted Europeans viewed themselves as God's chosen people, having found the land of Israel. Everyone in the colony was obligated to be of Christian faith, as dictated by the Constitution of the year 17, as long as they belonged to the Dutch Reformed Church. Although most European Christians were illiterate, every home in the colony had a Dutch Holy Bible. As they built the Dutch Reformed brand, the year 17 maintained tight control over groups like the Roman Catholics, Lutherans, and Protestants. Catholicism was banned in locations where Dutch Reformed clergy operated. This was to stop them from becoming dominant outside Europe, where religious wars dominated the landscape for many centuries. Catholicism was only tolerated from 1804 in the Cape. German was widely spoken by the company officials, yet Germans were barred from having their own church. In 1780, when the policy changed, there was a huge influx of Germans and German Jews. They established their own churches and synagogues, were allowed to maintain their languages and cultural bonds. They received 1,000 acres of land each and 2,000 acres of communal grazing land for converting and civilizing. Pierre Simmons arrived with the first large group of French Huguenots in 1688. Although French Huguenots were spiritual siblings of the Dutch Reform, they were expected to abandon their culture, homogenize, and be part of the development of a new Cape European identity. When Simmons protested the cultural erasure, Simon van der Stel labeled him a rebel. That did not prevent him from becoming a slave owner, preferring light-skinned labor. It took the Lutherans 40 years to get permission to bring their own ministers to the Cape and have their own place of worship. The first Jewish synagogue was completed in April 1730. The first governor at the Cape from 1652 to 1662, Jan van Riebeeck, held the first religious sermon on the ship he arrived on, the Dromedaris, 1 week after the occupation. He arrived with his Sikkertroosters, men who comforted the sick and dying and gave religious instructions to enslaved people. They were later replaced by free Batavians. Unscrupulous Van Riebeeck was also the first to decriminalize and encourage theft and violence at the Cape. He was the first to use falsche geld. In English, that means fake money, to buy slaves and to make Khoi, Hottentot stomdronken, meaning paralytic drunk, to steal their children, women, and cattle. While the Van Riebeeck's diarist noted that he asked for God's blessing for every initiative, whether good or evil, and gave praise for all his successes. While theft was punishable in indigenous society, captured Khoi were now forced to steal from passing ships. In due course, cunning and cheating were seen as virtues rather than vices by the inhabitants of the garrison. The second governor was German Zacharias Wagenaar. He was there from 1662 to 1666. He despised the Khoi and was not in favor of any